Do Russian verbs of motion make your nose bleed? Do they give you a constant headache? This is exactly how my students refer to this grammatical concept of Russian verbs of motion. But don't you worry, in this video I'm going to help you distinguish between those two groups of unidirectional verbs of the group идти and multidirectional verbs of the group ходить. My name is Natalia or Natasha. I'm a certified teacher of Russian language and Russian native speaker. You can trust me because I have plenty of experience teaching Russian to the speakers of different languages, and I know exactly the common mistakes, difficulties, and problems you face in learning Russian. I'm here to help you become a better and more confident speaker of Russian language. Let's go! Поехали! You probably already know about two groups of Russian verbs of motion. Unidirectional group of the verb идти and multidirectional group of the verb ходить. But before I explain you the difference between those two groups, let me give you more examples of Russian verbs of motion. So, идти, ходить, to go on foot. Ехать, ездить, to go by transportation. Бегать, бежать, to run. Лететь, летать, to fly. Плыть, плавать, to swim. Нести, носить, to carry. Вести, возить, to carry by transportation. Вести, водить, to lead, to guide, or to drive. So now, as you know more examples of Russian verbs of motion, let's speak about the difference between those two groups. We use unidirectional verbs of motion when we speak about the movement that proceeds in a definite direction and at a definite time. For example, мальчик идет в школу. The boy is going to school. I use a unidirectional verb идти. Why? Because it's a movement in a definite direction. The boy is going to school. Мальчик идет в школу. And at a definite time in the present. Мальчик идет в школу сейчас. Another example. Мальчик ходит в школу каждый день. The boy goes to school every day. In this example, I use a multidirectional verb ходить. Why? Because multidirectional verbs are used to speak about the movement that is, first of all, a there and back movement, or it's a repetitive, custom, habitual movement that takes place at regular intervals. Мальчик ходит в школу каждый день. The boy goes to school every day. It's an habitual, repetitive action, and it's a there and back movement. The boy goes to school and back. That is why we use a multidirectional verb ходить. The child is swimming to the shore. I use a unidirectional verb плыть. Why? Because the child is swimming in a definite direction to the shore and at a definite time at the moment of speech. He is swimming to the shore right now. Он плывет к берегу сейчас. Another example. Дети плавают в бассейне. I use a multidirectional verb плавать. Why? Because in this example, the kids swim in the swimming pool without a definite direction. They swim in different directions. Consequently, it's a multidirectional verb плавать. Дети плавают в бассейне каждую неделю. Again, I use a multidirectional verb плавать because it's a repetitive, habitual action. They swim in swimming pool every week. Дети плавают в бассейне каждую неделю. Now it's your turn. Let's practice. Мама несет или носит ребенка в ванную? Мама несет ребенка в ванную. It's a movement in a definite direction at a definite time, at the moment of speech. Мама несет или носит ребенка в ванную каждый вечер? Мама носит ребенка в ванную каждый вечер. It's an habitual, repetitive movement. Наша семья сегодня летит на юг. It's a movement in a definite direction, на юг, to the south, and at a definite time, in the present, сегодня, today. Наша семья летит на юг сегодня. Наша семья летит или летает на юг каждое лето? Наша семья летает на юг каждое лето. It's a repetitive, habitual action, and on top of that, it's a there and back movement. So our family flies to the south and back every summer. So let's recap the meaning of those two different groups of verbs of motion in Russian. We use unidirectional verbs of motion when we speak about a movement that proceeds in a definite direction and at a definite time. We use multidirectional verbs of motion when we speak about a movement that proceeds without a definite direction or a movement proceeding in different directions. Secondly, we use the multidirectional verbs when we speak about an action or a movement that is habitual, custom, and repetitive, the one that repeats itself at definite intervals of time. Finally, we use multidirectional verbs when we speak about a there and back movement, when the character or an agent of an action goes there and back several times. I hope this video helped you better understand the difference between two groups of Russian verbs of motion. If it did, please hit the subscribe button, like, share, and subscribe, and see you in the next video.